quite ironic as I'm just about to make this video that Junus comes and sits on my lap. I refer you to videos from about a year ago, just over a year ago, early April, in which I spoke about Junus and what that actually is. I can hear him now as well. I don't know how many of you have listened to or watched the Archaics live last night with the title Lemuria. I've just read that because of the advert, it's being used as a justification to take the video down because of a copyright issue over the music involved. It's, oh, here we go again, the usual pattern. Fabricates a problem with a solution in place, follows the pattern of everything else about this reality. Quite a long time ago, I spoke about today's world, two forms of days, the waking hours and the sleeping hours. Now consider, when you're in the dream, when you're asleep, how much of the waking day actually comes into that dream. The concerns and worries in this material realm, do they ever come into the dream? Do you ever think about them in the dream? And it seems from this generally a sort of cut-off between those two forms of days. Because which is the real day? Because certainly when you're asleep, you can have very vivid dreams that seem so real that when you come back into the waking day, as it were, that your heart may be pounding, you may have broken out into a sweat, the physical body responds to the sensations that you experience in that dream. So which is the real day? But I'm also considering here the wheels within wheels, and Jason very brilliantly put this together yesterday. It makes perfect sense. So I've done a little illustration. I think we better move to a better position with the sun so you can actually be able to see it. Which of course is quite simple because we just turn 180 degrees, as it were. So I can't see the screen now. This is not very clever. Hopefully you can see this. So this solar system, you've also got at 60 degrees, you've got this nemesis system, and there are 2 points of contact which seem to occur in May and November. I don't know how well you're able to see that, but if you imagine you've got a sort of circle, and then you've got a 60-degree angle, you have this other circle, and then you have these intersection points. Now if you look at the material world, the political world, consider why elections always seem to happen in either May or November. There was a comment made during that presentation about May is almost like an anagram of Maya. But then what about November, N-O-V? That would suggest the German word von, which means of. Now this brings in Bode's law, where it shows that Earth is not where it should be. It's been captured by another system, as it were. But I would say that when we get to May and November of each year, I don't know if it's even possible to check this, but these Mandela effects most likely are introduced at that time, either one of those two time periods, either during May or early November. And this is why you have all these little anomalies, these little glitches, because something has been pulled across from one reality into the other reality. Certainly with this reality, it would seem that there is nothing original about it. It does seem to be a carbon copy of this other nemesis sort of universe. And then the way I spoke about this with events around 2020, it is as if two timelines have crossed, two realities have crossed, and somehow a certain number of us have found ourselves in what looks very similar. But I'm sure you agree that everything has changed, not least people that you interact with. Now, I spoke about this maybe about more than 2 years ago, where if you have a change inside yourself, that you'll go out walking into town or something, and you'll get a completely different subset of people that you interact with. You'll get a far more pleasant subset of interactions than if you are more in that negative and that sort of fear state, because we are basically magnetic, so we draw towards us certain things. So to me, everything about this makes perfect sense, and it's nice to see that Jason has stated that he is going to reassess what Rudolf Steiner says, because I feel what Rudolf Steiner was penetrating was this nemesis reality, rather than this soul reality that we find ourselves in. You could say that it's an angel leash reality for those of us that feel like we're stuck here, that don't belong here, which is basically why the system has promoted English, which is angel leash, as the sort of universal standard language. It's the most effective spellcaster. It's been perfected through languages and things to formulate ways of harvesting energy. Everything seems to work at a very subtle energetic level in the unseen. Now, so why is it we don't have any recollection of that other reality? Because there is a sort of, doing this crossover, I would say that there is some sort of reset, some sort of mind wipe. So it would affect timelines if you could come in with the full knowledge from the other timeline, the other reality. Is that, of course, though, is that this nemesis universe, is that the real reality, or is that yet another simulation? And that will be interesting to sort of ponder, I feel. I don't know the answer to that. I'm thinking aloud, speculating, as it were, on this, and just going with intuitive feeling. But it makes perfect sense from the perspective of this reality when it is spoken about these stars seeming to drop, which they would if you have something on a different orbit that is coming from the north and then leaving from the south in this sort of capture and taking the Earth back to where it should be, not what it has been captured by the angel leash of this Earth, or those that now find themselves in this copy of Earth. So as much as anything else, this video is like a stopgap between the live presentation from Archaics that has YouTube have found a reason to sort of withdraw it, a justification, which they always will. But the information is now out on the field, so I thought it's a good idea to spread this knowledge, spread this awareness, because it will make a difference. Now, what that difference is going to be on a personal level, I don't know what I've let myself open to, because certainly April is going to be hugely significant. It's going to be crunch time, make or break, because of the circumstances I find myself in. It's I feel I have to make a decision and go one of two ways. One of them will be partly having to go back into the system, or the alternative, I really don't know. But saying that, I have this feeling, hello, we've been joined by Demiana now. I have this feeling that everything is going to work out, and what I may find myself doing, a lot may say, well, that's crazy, you've done a U-turn or whatever. It could be seen that way, but then that's making a judgment. Is it a bad decision? Is it a good decision? I personally go with the idea that whatever steps I take, whatever actions I take are going to lead somewhere, and it is, I have to take full responsibility for those actions and either suffer the consequences or benefit from the consequences of it. I'm in that same position that I seem to find myself in continuously, with lack of funds, without the sort of favourability of algorithms and things, just not getting the not getting anywhere on being able to generate income from the courses, from tarot card readings, to anywhere the level needed. And nice though it is to receive donations, I can't expect people to keep doing that. That's not fair. It would seem that there are tough times coming. Demiana is nudging me, so she wants stroking. Maybe they sense something is up, I don't know, because that's another thing. It's like I cannot just abandon these cats. But I of myself can do nothing, as it were, to use a biblical quote. Demiana, yes, I'm sure she's picking up on something. She's been very loving. But I'll be totally honest, I'm not in the best physical health. To be honest, the physical body feels like it's about 80 years old, and I get out of breath quickly. I'm waking up in the mornings with that feeling of the body has turned to lead. It's not pleasant, but I've sort of got to cope with it. But it's I could do with being a lot fitter for doing things on this land, so physically as much as everything else I am struggling. So it's going to be interesting challenges. It's like, if there's a need for a miracle, it needs to happen fairly soon, but I do have a feeling that things will come right in some way. I certainly don't want to be parted from the positives of this geographical location, but it makes things difficult because to go anywhere, to try, say even to gain employment or anything like that, it's going to be at least an hour and a half walking, pretty much all uphill, and that just opens up to a whole lot of other issues over, should we say, legalities of being here. So it's going to be interesting, and of course there's always the ongoing thing of funding the internet connection. So if there comes to a point that there are no new videos from this channel for maybe 2-3 weeks or longer, then something has happened. But my saying is, we'll cross that bridge as and when we come to it, rather than focus on the negative. It's like, whatever happens, I will just face it, embrace it, and deal with it in the moment. I feel that's all I can do, really. I have no answers to this in my personal situation. I really don't. I'm not expecting anybody to be able to wave a magic wand, but I feel things will come right one way or another. Come this far, so just got to keep going and do what I can with the resources I've got, which is this YouTube channel primarily. So as a reminder, do check out the description. I can do tarot card readings on a one-to-one basis. We've got the DAPA courses. It comes from the experience of going through depression, anxiety and panic attacks. Had this situation happened several years ago, I mean, the way I would have dealt with things would have been very different, certainly in a lot more in that sort of negative default aspect, which probably would have not worked out well at all. So I can look at that with gratitude, and I can look at all the experiences I've had with gratitude, because they have brought me to now. But where do I go from here, as it were, is the next thing. It's a shame can't really look into the future in a way. I know you've got chronology and timelines and you can get indications, but they seem to be more general than on an individual level. Anyway, that's enough about that. So to me, this now makes perfect sense with these two timelines. It explains Mandela Effects. It explains why the system gives you elections in either May or November. Excuse me. And far, far more than that. The next video, I'm going to return to the subject and show you another very famous errant. And this one really sort of rattled the entire system with a writing that sometimes is mentioned but never quoted, because it is like seeing into the future, and what is said in this particular writing has played out and continues to play out. It is highly indicative of what is going on in this world. Anyway, we'll come on to that on the next video. So I think that's all I feel I want to say on this video. If nothing else, I'm now going to enjoy the sun as well as upload, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend, and as always, unconditional love to you all.